Good day and welcome to the Lilly Roddy Show for the week of March 23rd through March 29th. So glad spring has finally arrived here in Houston, and we've had some very nice days. And of course it's always so nice to have the windows open and airing out the house from the winter. And of course we had a pretty cold winter here in Houston. Other places had much worse, but we only know what we know. And I hope you were able to have a good first day of spring last week. Well, we're continuing to build the energy through the mid-April time frame with a grand cross alignment in the sky coming up with Pluto, Uranus, Jupiter, and Mars, and with the Sun and Mercury adding their own 2 cents. This is part of the undercurrent that we're feeling. And it does create a sense of uneasiness. We will see some of this come to light on Monday, March 24th, as the moon pulls all those planets together. And then once again on March 30th, next week of the following Sunday. My advice is simple. If you see drama, run away from it. This is the modified version that one of my martial art instructors said, the best kind of self-defense is to not be there. So I took those words to heart. And of course, daily exercise, meditation, yoga, will help with some release of the tensions that we are experiencing at this time. Now let's look into the daily forecast for March 23rd through March 29th. Sunday, March 23rd, the moon begins the day in broad-minded Sagittarius. The moon sextiles Mars, 5:40 a.m. If you're up early, this is a good morning to be out and active. The moon is now void of course after 5:40 a.m. until 3:03 p.m. when the moon enters goal-oriented Capricorn. You might want to plan your important activities later in the afternoon when the moon is not void of course. The moon does enter realistic Capricorn at 3:03 p.m. this Sunday afternoon. Our first lunar aspect is the moon squares the sun at 8:46 p.m. We're certainly feeling more active this evening. This is a really good evening for planning ahead or for completing some desired task. You will want to make the best use of your time this evening. Monday, March 24th, the moon continues her path through ambitions-oriented Capricorn all day. Our first aspect, the moon sextiles Neptune, 1:28 a.m., a good time for some meditation or some sleeping. The moon sextiles Mercury, 4:56 a.m. This always keeps our brains mentally active. If you're sleeping, this will activate your dreams. If you're awake, this is a good time for working on details. A little later in the morning, the moon opposes Jupiter at 9:44 a.m. This is going to be a very busy and socially active time this morning. Stick to your agenda, or you may find that you're busier than you want to be. This aspect is always good for business or social presentations. Later in the morning, the moon squares Uranus at 11:25 a.m. As the moon moves through Capricorn today, she is tying in the ongoing Uranus-Pluto square. This afternoon promises to be tense and edgy when the moon makes contact with Uranus. Be sure to build an exit strategy so that you don't feel restricted. And on a larger scale, this can amp up some of the problems in Crimea. The moon conjuncts Pluto in the afternoon, 1:57 p.m. This afternoon, we are at a point where we are getting down to the core of things. We are not mincing words, and we're not joking. If you need to, take some time to center yourself and to make sure that you're clear about where you're going. Tuesday, March 25th, the moon continues in intense Scorpio as our day begins. I was looking for my water. Excuse me. The moon sextiles Saturn at 5:47 a.m. It's a good morning to be up, getting your act together, and ready to take yourself on the road. We are clear and organized this morning. A little later, the moon squares Mars, 7:35 a.m. Don't get yourself into a rush this morning. People seem to be very focused on their own personal agendas. Don't let their agendas crash into yours. After 7:37 a.m., the moon, of course, does go void, of course, until 5:39 p.m., when she enters the heady sign of Aquarius. And, of course, this is another one of those long moon void, of course, periods. During the void, of course, try to stay with your agenda and don't push things too much. The moon does enter Aquarius at 5:39 p.m., and we're already feeling more organized and more clear about what we should be doing. The moon does not make any more aspects with the other planets today, but she is not void, of course. It can still be a good and productive evening if you allow things to develop at their own pace. Wednesday, March 26th, the moon continues in four-sighted Aquarius all day. Our first aspect, the moon, sextiles the sun at 2:54 a.m. If you're awake, this is an excellent time for planning and strategy. In the early morning, Mercury trines Jupiter at 8:11 a.m. This combination of planets should help us to integrate the bigger pictures in our lives and to figure out how to incorporate that into our daily lives. This is an excellent day for all sorts of mental activity, and especially those that involve explaining our points of view to others. A good day for sales, teaching, writing, traveling, and expanding your consciousness and compassion for the other people on the planet. This aspect, Mercury trine Jupiter, is in effect all day. In the early afternoon, the moon sextiles Uranus at 1:41 p.m. Our mental day continues into the afternoon as we are very open and willing to share our feelings and thoughts with the people around us. In business, this is a great day to attend a conference or a workshop, and in our personal lives, we're looking for innovative ideas to make our lives easier. Thursday, March 27th, the moon continues her path this morning through socially conscious Aquarius. The moon conjuncts Venus at 2:52 a.m., a great time for self-indulgence. We're much more in touch with our sensual nature. The moon squares Saturn at 7:20 a.m. Be careful that your taskmaster doesn't get up before you do, waiting with a list of activities for you. Work on your priorities this morning and keep your list practical. Just a little bit later, the moon trines Mars at 8:13 a.m. With this combination of planets, we have the energy available to finish the things on our to-do list from the aspect before, and our enthusiasm is strong, but really not overwhelming. After this time, 8:13 a.m., the moon will be void, of course, until 7:10 p.m. Again, another long void, of course, moon. At 7:10 p.m., the moon enters watery Pisces. We will feel more connected. However, there are no more lunar aspects for the rest of that day. Enjoy your evening. It'll probably be very laid back. Now, Friday's a little busier. Friday, March 28th, the moon continues in emotionally sensitive and psychic Pisces. Our first aspect, Mercury sextiles Pluto at 12:30 a.m. This is an aspect of deep conversation and exploration into our own unconscious motivations. This would be a great time to be with your therapist or your professional life coach. But since it's early in the morning, it'd be a good time to have a deep heart-to-heart with someone over a bottle of wine. At the very least, this should stimulate your dream life for this evening and early morning. This aspect, Mercury sextile Pluto, is in effect all day. A little bit later in the morning, but still early, the moon conjuncts Neptune at 5:37 a.m. Moon conjuncts Neptune, 5:37 a.m. Go ahead and hit that snooze button about 32 more times. Later in the afternoon, the moon trines Jupiter, 1:42 p.m. A nice afternoon for most any kind of activity, from business to social to personal. It may go unnoticed this time with moon trine Jupiter. It is just a time when we're feeling good. The moon sextiles Pluto at 5:26 p.m. This is a great time to be working on projects in which you are uncovering or discovering things. This is a good time to work on tough mental assignments. And our last aspect for this day, the moon conjuncts Mercury at 7:20 p.m. We're very chatty this evening, just talking about the mundane aspects of our day. The mental activity is strong and is certainly favored during this part of the day. A good time for going to the movies or entertaining your clients. And finally, Saturday, March 29th, the moon continues in languid Pisces as the day begins. The moon trines Saturn at 8:44 a.m. We're looking forward to being productive today and finishing up some projects. It's a great time for planning. Venus trines Mars at 2:05 p.m. in the afternoon. This planetary alignment indicates a point of harmony between our desire nature and our active physical body. We will tend to feel optimistic about the outcomes of the things we invest our time, love, money, and talent into. Relationships should go well at this time, and people are willing to negotiate so that everyone's needs get met. This aspect is in effect all day, and especially in the first half of the day. In the afternoon, Venus squares Saturn at 4:14 p.m. We give with one hand and we take with the other. This is an interesting aspect to follow the one previously. This would make us extra cautious about our investments in other people and in things. We would need a lot more reassurance, and still, that may not be enough. This is the part of us that wants to consider every negative potential. With some personal guidance, this can be more of a tool of safety rather than one of restrictions. And used in combination with the Venus trine Mars aspect from earlier, it can offer a balance and bring real solutions. Well, this is the end of our weekly forecast. If you would like to contact me, ask me any questions about my show, or to have a personal session, you can always contact me at Lilly Roddy Show at AOL.com. Lilly Roddy Show, just like it sounds. Or find me on LillyRoddyShow.com, on Twitter, or Pinterest, and Facebook. Well, thank you for joining me this week as I share my views about the planets and how they affect us. And join us next week as we talk about March 30th through April 5th. This is the Lilly Roddy Show, coming to you from the LRS studios here in Houston, Texas, reminding you to keep those stars in your eyes, and don't forget, subscribe. Bye-bye.